Recently, Donald Trump criticized Vice President Kamala Harris, saying that her policies make life more expensive for American families. He claims that Harris's tax policies have raised taxes by about $2,600 per year, adding to the financial stress caused by rising prices. Trump believes that under Harris, prices have gone up, and he thinks that her plans to raise taxes even more will make things worse. He says that if her tax increases go through, it will be even harder for regular people to make ends meet. Trump thinks that these tax hikes are meant to fund what he calls the Green New Scam, which is his way of criticizing environmental policies that he thinks are a waste of money and not helpful. This has become a big part of the debate about how to deal with climate change while ensuring that regular families can afford their expenses. As president, Trump said he lowered taxes to help Americans, including getting rid of taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. He also said he worked to make the air and water cleaner than ever. He wanted to show he cared about both the environment and the economy. Trump believed that bringing back his tax plans would not only reduce financial stress for families, but also create more jobs and make the economy better. But now, people are talking about Harris's tax ideas and how they might affect the environment and the economy. Many Americans are wondering how these changes could impact their daily lives. They want to know if the benefits of these environmental plans are worth the possible costs. This video will look at Trump's claims about Harris's tax plans and what they could mean for the economy. We'll talk about the arguments on both sides and see how higher taxes might affect families who are struggling to get by. It's important to understand these things as we deal with the complicated economic policies that affect all of our lives. Have you heard about the discussions around Vice President Kamala Harris's tax proposals? To understand what's going on, let's take a look at the bigger picture. In recent years, the cost of living has been going up, and many families are dealing with higher expenses for things like housing, food, and healthcare. Now, with prices going up even more, people are worried about the idea of having to pay more in taxes. Donald Trump has been speaking out about this, saying that Harris's plan to raise taxes will make things even harder for families who are already struggling. He believes that these tax increases won't just be a small change, they could have a big impact on regular people's finances. According to Trump, if these tax hikes go through, they will hit low and middle income families the hardest, possibly wiping out any progress they've made in recent years. Trump's narrative paints Harris as a politician disconnected from the realities faced by working class families. By labeling her policies as a Green New Scam, he seeks to undermine the credibility of environmental initiatives aimed at addressing climate change. His argument suggests that prioritizing environmental concerns over economic stability is misguided, claiming that it would lead to job losses and business closures. Trump emphasizes the tax cuts his administration implemented, which he asserts provided much-needed relief to Americans. He points to the elimination of certain taxes, like those on tips and overtime, as evidence of his commitment to supporting the working class. His supporters believe that a return to these tax policies would stimulate economic growth, create jobs, and provide individuals with more disposable income. Critics, however, argue that while tax cuts can offer immediate relief, they may also lead to long-term deficits that could hinder economic growth. Balancing the need for revenue generation to fund essential services while promoting environmental initiatives is a complex challenge. As the discussion continues, it's essential to evaluate both sides of the argument. Are Harris's proposed tax hikes genuinely detrimental, or are they necessary for sustainable growth and investment in the future? This question highlights the ongoing debate about how to balance economic stability with the pressing need for environmental reforms. Understanding these perspectives will help clarify the implications of these policies on everyday Americans. As people talk about Vice President Kamala Harris's plans to change taxes, many are worried about how it could affect middle-class families. A lot of families are already struggling to pay for things like housing, healthcare, and everyday expenses. The thought of having to pay even more taxes is making them even more worried about their money. Some people are saying that Harris's tax ideas could make things even harder for those who are already having a tough time. It's not just families who are worried. Small businesses are also feeling anxious about the possibility of higher taxes. Small business owners often have to be really careful with their money, and higher taxes could make it tough for them to grow their businesses or keep their employees. This could mean that some people might lose their jobs, which would be bad for the local economy. Some people are also concerned about how higher taxes could affect the country's overall economic growth. They think that if businesses have to pay more taxes, they might not want to take risks or try new things. This could make it harder for new ideas and businesses to succeed, which could slow down the economy. On the other side of the debate, proponents of the proposed tax increases argue that they are essential for funding critical public services. They contend that investing in education, infrastructure, and healthcare can create a more equitable society and support long-term economic growth. However, this argument does not eliminate the concerns of taxpayers who fear that higher taxes will reduce their disposable income and spending power. As the political climate shifts, finding a balance between tax policy and economic growth remains a significant challenge. The ongoing debate centers around whether the government can effectively generate the revenue needed for essential services without hindering economic progress. Ultimately, understanding the economic implications of Harris's tax proposals is crucial for assessing their impact on American families and businesses as the nation navigates its recovery from recent economic turmoil. The conversation surrounding Kamala Harris's tax proposals has sparked intense reactions across the political spectrum. Supporters argue that raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations is a necessary step toward achieving social equity and funding vital public services. They believe that this approach will not only address systemic inequalities, but also foster a more sustainable economy. Advocates emphasize the importance of investing in areas such as education and infrastructure to create a stronger foundation for future generations. Critics are worried that increasing taxes could hurt the economy by making things more expensive for everyone. They think that if prices keep going up and taxes go up too, it will be really hard for families to manage their money. Many people are unhappy about prices going up and their wages staying the same. They want the government to be more responsible with money. In the next election, politicians will feel more pressure to deal with these concerns. People's reactions could have a big impact on how taxes are decided in the future. Also, Harris's tax ideas are not just about money, they also relate to bigger questions about the government's role in the economy. As more people talk about this, they're asking whether the government should get more involved in the economy or let businesses grow on their own. This difference in ideas is really important for understanding the ongoing debate and will probably affect future tax decisions. The narrative surrounding these tax proposals also plays into larger themes of accountability and transparency. Americans are increasingly demanding to know how their tax dollars are spent and whether they truly benefit the community. This heightened scrutiny may compel lawmakers to justify their proposals and ensure that tax increases lead to tangible improvements in public services and infrastructure. As the dialogue continues, it's clear that the impact of Harris's tax proposals will resonate far beyond the immediate financial implications. The discussion surrounding equity, economic growth, and government responsibility will shape the political landscape and influence voter sentiment as the nation moves forward. The conversation around Vice President Kamala Harris's proposed tax increases encapsulates a complex interplay of economic realities, public sentiment, and political ideology. While supporters argue that raising taxes on wealthier individuals and corporations is essential for funding vital public services and addressing systemic inequalities, critics raise valid concerns about the potential negative impact on middle-class families and small businesses. As the cost of living continues to rise, the anxiety surrounding these tax proposals intensifies, prompting many to question how additional taxation could affect their financial stability. Moreover, the implications of these tax policies extend beyond just numbers on a balance sheet. They tap into broader discussions about the role of government in the economy, the necessity of transparency in how tax revenues are utilized, and the ongoing struggle to achieve social equity. As voters become increasingly engaged in these debates, candidates will need to be attuned to the sentiments of their constituents, balancing the need for revenue generation with the imperative of economic growth. The upcoming elections will be a big test for these tax ideas and the broader economic plan that comes with them. As people in the US continue to deal with higher prices and wages that aren't going up, lawmakers are feeling more pressure to come up with real solutions. The future of Harris's tax ideas and the overall economy will depend on whether elected officials can have real conversations, be accountable, and make policies that actually help the people they represent. It's important for all of us to stay informed and be part of these discussions, as they will have a big impact on where the country's economy is headed and how well off all of us will be. There will be challenges ahead, but if we have good debates and everyone takes part, we can create a fairer and more stable economic future.